Hi everyone, so we're going to finish up our ocean environments right here with our last zone, the benthic zone. So just a reminder, remember our photic zone is going to be our zone where we find all sunlight. So that's going to be our zone with a lot of plants and animals there, because since the sunlight, we'll be able to photosynthesize and see those producers make a lot of food for our consumers. Our aphotic zone is going to be that zone that does not get a lot or any sunlight, which is why we're going to see all those different animals with those really unique adaptations to survive in the darkness. In our benthic zone, we know that this is the bottom of the ocean or the sea floor. So we're going to see a bunch of different types of species like corals, sponges, crabs, lobsters, flat fish, so fish that kind of just roam along the bottom of the ocean, and snails. So a lot of different types of crustaceans and shellfish here. So some adaptations that we're going to see for these, we're going to see them filter feeding for scraps at the bottom of the ocean. We're also going to see some really interesting camouflage that we can see in this picture right here. This is actually a fish right here, what I'm outlining. So it's really interesting to see how much it just blends in with the sand there. We also see that they'll have the ability to bury themselves, which will be a really nice adaptation to hide from predators and dig deeper to find food that might be further down below the surface of the ocean there. We're also going to see these things called hydrothermal vents. So if we break down that word right there, hydro means water and thermal means temperature. So these hydrothermal vents are cracks in the Earth's crust that are going to emit lava, heavy metals, and sulfuric liquids at temperatures around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So really, really hot environments that let off a bunch of these different things that are going to make a really interesting environment for some different organisms here. So we can see them here. Also, if we think about it, cracks in the Earth's crust, that's going to make us think about plate tectonics. And more specifically, for this area, our plate tectonic boundary would be our divergent boundary that we'll see here. So the specialized adaptations for these animals, we're going to see different types of bacteria that can take these heavy metals and hydrogen sulfide to make food from these things that are coming from these hydrothermal vents. And that's going to be really important because we're going to see organisms that are going to have these bacteria either on them or inside of their bodies, and that bacteria is going to make food for these organisms. So organisms like tube worms, clams, and other types of worms are going to use these bacteria for a beneficial way. When this happens, we see a lot of these different types of relationships on land and in the ocean. It's called symbiosis. So symbiosis is this relationship between two different species. So the bacteria and the worms here are going to work together and have a mutual symbiotic relationship where they're both benefiting from having the bacteria inside their bodies to make food, and the bacteria are also benefiting because they have this safe place to survive and live in. So that would be a really good example of symbiotic relationship. In the videos that we've seen as well, we've noticed that some fish kind of live around sharks and other larger animals, and that's going to be another symbiotic relationship because they are using the shark for either protection or helping to hunt for their food, and they're benefiting from that relationship. It's a little bit different than our mutual relationship that I just explained, but again, this would be another example of a symbiotic relationship here. So if we take a look, here are our giant tube worms next to those hydrothermal vents. We also see a lot of our different types of shellfish here, our oysters and our clams. We also see a little bit of crabs over here in those near those hydrothermal vents or those cracks in the ocean floor. So again, if you want to go into these YouTube videos, that would be really helpful. We'll probably be able to watch 1 or 2 in class. Please let me know if you have any questions. That is the end of our ocean communities in our marine environments. So we will soon be moving on to a different topic here.